Ladies and gentlemen, this is huge news. I'm going to report it in the manner CNN would report such things. According to recent articles and insiders, and according to current and former officials within that company, Fox News, CNN insider says network needs to step up and fire Brian Stelter. Daily Mail, insiders are calling for the CNN anchor Brian Stelter to be fired. And then the Wrap, Brian Stelter on CNN legal. Okay, set it up. Brian Stelter allegedly expecting to be fired from CNN. Independent, CNN insiders demand network fire reporter Brian Stelter for not exposing Jeff Zucker. Okay, so you have articles and you have recent reports. I believe Tim Pool talked about this and issued a report or segment on this. Numerous other YouTubers have talked about it. It's in various publications today. He's either going to be fired this week or within the next couple of months. CNN's reliable sources with Brian Stelter draws smallest audience since 2019. Comparable with some of the larger YouTubers, there are very rarely days that I can actually compete with CNN in terms of views, but it's happened on this channel. We're almost at 200,000 subs, but there are YouTubers that routinely every day compete with views. Okay? A lot of YouTubers. A lot. And you're talking about an enormous corporation, an enormous media company. And with all due respect to Brian Stelter, here, New York Post, Brian Stelter, reliable sources on CNN draws lowest rating since 2019. The Dow just closed below 30,000. I predicted this on this channel. Go right now below, or you can hit pause or after this segment. Go below to the description section. Watch the playlist on H.A. Goodman in September of 2021. I said we would have a stock market crash and economic collapse, and we're happening. And we're happening. And it's happening. Unfortunately. Go to the stock market crash channel. I just have a segment out right now. That segment will be below in the description, by the way. Hit subscribe. There were almost at 20,000 subs there, and we're almost at 200,000 subs on this channel. And I said Bitcoin will get below 10,000. And I was saying there's going to be a Bitcoin crash in September of 2021 on both the stock market crash channel and this channel, H.A. Goodman. And I have a Bitcoin crash to 10,000 or lower channel, and that's going to happen, unfortunately, too. The reason I bring up those three channels, hit subscribe to all of them, this one and the other two, is that I don't have a CNN studio. I don't have a studio where, I don't have this mega, monstrous corporation, okay, where you have billions and billions in revenue. I only have, I was published in the Federalist in October predicting the stock market crash. The article's below in the description and pinned comment. I use facts, public record, evidence, and I base my viewpoints and my segments on public record, reputable sources. And I also, oftentimes, push back against the mainstream narrative with the same public record, reputable sources used to pump the mainstream narrative. But again, I don't live this life from the vantage point of I have to promote one political vantage point. Brian Stelter, like everyone else at these extensions of the Democratic Party, the Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, the New Yorker, New York Magazine, Atlantic, Time Magazine, Esquire, Vanity Fair, Rolling Stone, Mother Jones. There was actually a good article in Mother Jones actually defending Lauren Boebert. I couldn't believe it, but it was honorable. And the journalist there, had integrity. She had, a great deal of integrity writing that article, because you have a public relations monstrosity that 99% of the time says that Trump was installed by the Kremlin and he's trying to take democracy and, move it up his gigantic orange rear end, and oh my God, it's the end of the world, and he's such a loathsome, horrible person, and he's just so mean, and his words, enter this homing beacon within the minds of impressionable and gullible Trumpers, and they're capable of doing anything. And oh my God, he worked with the Kremlin, and he interfered or helped interfere and pressured people. He's so bad. We have an economy collapsing. And Brian Stelter, his work, his work was focused primarily on media and journalism, but what he did was, and he was called out by Ted Koppel. He was called out by Ted Koppel years back, and he was called out by a pretty amazing college student about 6-7 months ago or 5 months ago. But what he did was try to justify every media spin leveled against Trump. The media was an extension, is still basically an extension of the Democratic Party. That's not hyperbole. I remember growing up, there was an actual debate. Like, there was a serious debate as to whether the media could be labeled as even slightly biased to the left. That was an actual debate. Now we have an economy collapsing, which is why I talked about the stock market crash channel and the Bitcoin crash channel. Hit subscribe to those channels. And to this one. Watch the playlist. Everything I've been saying has been taking place, and I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding like one 4 million sub YouTube channel. I don't have a multi-million-dollar studio. Okay? I don't have tens of millions of dollars in terms of production. The production value is just what's in this head right here, which perhaps isn't much, but it's something. And my annoying personality. That's pretty much it. And my vintage. These are all vintage, by the way. And so, that's the production value. But you watch this channel because I have been telling you since September the market was going to crash. We're heading into an economic collapse. And I was published in the Federalist. You could read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post on H.A. Goodman, but HAGoodman.com. But I wasn't born to be a liberal Democrat my whole life and swear allegiance to the Democratic Party so I could be obedient and enjoy Brian Stelter's show, justifying and trying to legitimize the media spin against Trump and everyone who voted for Trump. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post at one point. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I became a supporter of President Trump because I want a great economy and a great foreign policy. We had those under Trump. What Stelter and others did was they took his accomplishments and what he did, the tangible things you can actually judge a president by, threw them in a dumpster or flushed them down the toilet, and focused only on the spin, the hype. The media has become this creation of its own making, an extension of the Democratic Party. There's a political element to everything now. There's a political angle in everything, and that never used to be the case. We used to be able to watch Arsenio Hall and Johnny Carson. Now you can't get away from it. You can't watch. Jimmy Kimmel is basically an operative of the Democratic Party. He should just get paid by the Democratic Party. And all of these late night talk shows, Saturday Night Live, you can't get away from it. And what Stelter did was he just justified everything was how horrible Trump was. Everything was backing and trying to justify and legitimize what media was doing to Trump. And there was never, reliable sources. The sources were not reliable. You had CNN firing people. You had, for stories that turned out to be false, CNN routinely publishes stories, along with MSNBC and the Washington Post, that are either embellished, hyperbolic, or just blatantly false, where they have to go ahead and issue or retract a statement retracting the initial story. But anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. He's not going to be there for long. I told everyone that Chris Cuomo wasn't going to be there for long. And the same thing with STELTER. CNN can't function in the manner that it did. It has to go back to eventually the way it was 20 years ago. It has to be somewhat objective. It can't simply be this shameless extension of the Democratic Party. Hit subscribe. Thank you so very, very much.